What is good, YouTube? What's good? What's good, YouTube? What's good, PlayStation Nation? It is your boy Persona of Gamer with Persona and one half of the What's Up PlayStation podcast crew. And I'm coming at you guys with another reaction, man. Yo, listen, Gotham Knights has been real forthcoming. Gotham Knights and IGN, man. They've been doing IGN first all month. Starting last month too. Last month they started putting out some stuff, but they've been putting out a lot of cool information, clips, gameplay previews, and things like that. And just the other day, I just did the reaction to high level builds for Red Hood, which I thought he definitely redeemed himself. 100%. I think he redeemed himself out here in the eyes of the community, in my opinion, at least in my eyes, right? But today, man, we got something really special and really something that I'm really excited to really break down, which is the skill trees. So as we know, Gotham Knights releases October 25th, 2022, and we know that this is an RPG-esque style game where you'll be able to build up, your characters between Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, and Red Hood, right? And you get different armor pieces, be able to level up your character, level up one of the characters or all the characters if you decide to do that, and you'll obviously be able to get different skills and things like that. This is something that I'm really excited about because skill trees, I think, are very important in games, right? Because you want to have dope skills that you can interchange and really flow and mesh well with each other, which I think is very important. But also it gives the player a bit of freedom to really build their characters how they want, how they see fit. Go for a tank build, go for a healer build, go for a DPS build, or whatever the case may be. I think skill trees in games are very, very important, and a very important part of the game, in my opinion. But also I think the type of skills that you also get in the game, I think, is also very important, right? It's very important, and I think having that balance between the two, it can be hard, a bit hard sometimes to master that. But I do have confidence in WB Montreal and in Gotham Knights to get that done. But listen, enough of me talking. Let's watch this and let's really see what they got under the hood with this skill tree. Kick back, relax, guys, and I hope you enjoy this.
Gotham Knights has an unexpected philosophy at its heart. While it might be a game about 4 superheroes trying to fill the void left by a murdered Batman, the developers don't want you to feel like you're creating 4 successors. They want you to find a favourite and turn them into a single, new Dark Knight.
We always understood that there had to be a sense by the end of the story and by the end of your kind of investment in the hero that you have in some way transcended the obvious potential of this character in order to become a symbol. This is someone who I believe can fill the vacuum Batman has left behind. So that's such an essential aspect of the fantasy that we felt like there needed to be a moment where that was reflected in the ability tree, where it was reflected in the kind of RPG foundations of the game.
With that overall philosophy in mind, a game mechanic that has you constantly changing and experimenting with new techniques feels apt. Gotham Knights offers a lot of options in that regard, from new superhero suits to ability-changing gear, but it doesn't make that idea clearer than in its skill trees.
The main abilities that you see on the ability tree are abilities that you unlock after you've earned ability points. And that's something that's a natural function of leveling up in the sort of standard RPG way. You get XP, you level up, you get some ability points, and there's, dependencies and prerequisites like you would normally see.
So one of the things that I'm noticing, I was on mute that whole time. Oh my god. So one of the things that I'm noticing is that with this skill tree, you know, you've got your marksman, you've got your brawler, and you got your vengeance, and you got knighthood. And it looks like based on how this person has this set up, you could definitely take a bite out of each skill tree, which I think is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm liking that. Which I think being able to mix and match to kind of create your own ultimate, you know, Red Hood or ultimate Nightwing, ultimate Batgirl, or whatever case may be. I think that's really dope. That's really great. If I was someone that was playing as Red Hood, especially after seeing yesterday's high level build gameplay, I would definitely be like playing around in this brawler tree, for sure.
In an action RPG, but that is the gating mechanism for those abilities. You're spending points, you're deciding where you want to spend them.
Of course, with 4 different heroes, you're likely to want to experiment, and the game accounts for that without feeling like you're leaving anyone behind while not playing with them.
Obviously, we're a multi-protagonist game, and we expect that a lot of players are going to kind of identify fairly quickly that, okay, I like this hero, this character matches my style of play, I'm invested in their progression and in their evolution, I want to play that character for a long time. That said, there's 3 other heroes that you may decide at some point it would be interesting for you to try, and that you want to be able to jump into playing without feeling like you're being penalized or need to go back and redo a whole bunch of work in order to kind of get them advanced. So then what happens is, if you decide to switch characters, basically you now have a kind of surplus of ability points that you can go into the menu and spend. You'll sit there, you'll allocate them, you can look at the whole ability tree, you can decide what you want to have access to.
The skill trees themselves are made up of a mix.
So I think that's pretty smart, right? Because although I think a lot of us, especially the ones that are really, really excited for Gotham Knights, I think all of us have kind of identified who our mains are going to be. Like, you know, if I can only pick one Gotham Knight character, my main would absolutely be Batgirl all the way, right? So I think for a lot of us, we kind of identified who we're going to gravitate towards initially when we first start the game. But I like that the game is doing this, right? Like, if you want to try another character, or if you want to kind of get your feet wet with all the characters and kind of see, you know, where you might land, because although you may prefer, you know, say Nightwing or Batgirl or whoever, you know, you might want to play around with Red Hood or with Robin, and you might find out that how their play style is and the types of skills and abilities that they have is actually pretty dope. And it's like, you know what, I could see myself playing this character. And so having to do all that work all over again, it's smart that they implemented that into the game, so that, you know, you don't necessarily have to go grinding and doing all that stuff again. You can kind of it's hot swappable, which I think is great. And even looking here at Red Hood's ability tree, so they're not. I'm pretty sure probably later on in the video they'll go one by one. I'm hoping they do. If not, then, you know, we'll just have to wait till the full game releases. But looking at this skill that we're on right now, focused aim, Red Hood can aim longer at a target to deal 4 times more damage. So that range build's looking kind of nice. I feel like that would be a skill that you can kind of, you know, again, pop into your repertoire. But, you know, if you're trying to go brawler, you're not fully committed, and you can kind of interchange and add different things into it, which I think is good. So it's pretty dope.
Of ability or stat changing upgrades, but the paths they take you down are purposely varied, allowing you to build different versions of the same hero. Batgirl can specialize in one-on-one melee combat, but she can also focus on hacking abilities or survivability. Nightwing can build on his acrobatics, but can also offer massive buffs for co-op play. Robin can improve on his preternatural talents for stealth, but he could equally work on tech that helps provide decoys or enhance elemental effects. And in this footage, we're showing off all of Red Hood's trees in their totality.
So the marksman tree is kind of self-explanatory. It's really about dealing more damage at range. That skill tree focuses mostly on damage per second and rewards for shooting and rewards for per second.
Let me go back.
And reward. That skill tree.
So we know about the focus fire.
Mostly.
Lucky rounds. Every round Red Hood shoots has a small chance to deal 5 times the damage. Only applies to ranged attacks and precision aim. That's pretty good. I can see that being real useful in, like, mini boss or boss situations.
On damage.
And increased Red Hood, what is this? Precise strikes increases Red Hood's chances of landing a critical hit by 10%. So Red Hood, from what I've been seeing a lot with Red Hood is looking like my man's the DPS of the group, like the AoE DPS of the group. I ain't gonna cap, man. They've been showing a lot of Red Hood, and I feel like the reason why they keep showing so much Red Hood is because Red Hood, a lot of people were shitting on Red Hood. A lot of people were not feeling Red Hood. So I feel like they chose Red Hood as the person that they wanted to really highlight and focus in on leading up to the game, to just show how great he is, which I think that's smart, right? And I gotta be honest, man, especially again, like going back to the Brawler gameplay we saw yesterday and what I'm seeing with his skill tree today. Hey man, they kind of winning me over a little bit, man. I'm not gonna lie, they winning me over just a bit. Right, and then the next one is Focus Fire Plus. Aiming time of Focus Fire is reduced by 50%. Okay, that's good. And then Quick Fire Expert. The critical chance and critical damage of Red Hood's ranged attack combo is increased by 15%. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm digging the range tree. I want them to go through this Brawler tree. That's what I'm really like focused in on.
Time to use precision aim. The Brawler skill tree
there we go.
Is about melee combat, but more importantly, it's about powering up.
Okay, so Human Bomb. When Red Hood throws an enemy, he attaches a concussion mine to them that explodes when shot. So remember when we first saw that first footage of Red Hood, that Red Hood gameplay, and when he was fighting in the middle of the street, he stuck a bomb to old boy and it kicked him back and shot it. So that's that move, which okay, that's a pretty good move actually, especially because it does pretty good AoE damage. Then we've got Large Grab. Red Hood can perform grab moves on large enemies. I can see that being really useful. And then we've got Extended Grab Window. Enemies can now be grabbed at 50% health or less. Oh, that's interesting. So you need to so you can't just run up on an enemy and grab them up. You kind of got to beat them up a little bit, get some life off of them, and then I guess a grab, it's showing on the screen like a little grab icon. All right, that's pretty smart. I don't see no issue with that. And then we've got Human Bomb Enhanced. Increased damage and radius of concussion mine explosion. Again, I think this is great. So having something like this, again, if you're fighting mobs of enemies, you stick a bomb, kick them away, and everybody gets concussed. You and your friend could just go to town, which I think is pretty good. Red Hood looks to have some pretty good utilities. Okay, and then we've got Grip Expertise. Increases Red Hood's damage when performing a grab move by 10%. Okay, increased damage. Next one is Iron Grip. Grabbing an enemy prevents Red Hood from being interrupted by most attacks. Yo, Red Hood. Yo, what's funny? You know what's funny, man? Red Hood is my type of character. Very tanky, very bulky, right? Very in your face. Especially with this Brawler build. I'm slow. They're winning me over, man. I gotta be honest, guys. They're winning me over. And then the last one is Human Bomb Multiplied. Detonating the concussion mine deploys 6 additional concussion proximity mines on the ground. Jeez, that's pretty OP. And then we've got this is the Vengeance Tree. So we got the Corp to Grace. So this I'm thinking this is Red Hood inflicts 10% more damage on enemies with 30% health or less. And then we got Freak Justice. Increases Red Hood's damage by 15% and critical damage by 5% when fighting freaks. Okay, I like that. Regulator Justice increases Red Hood's damage by 15% and critical damage by 5% when fighting the regulators. So there's different enemy quote unquote enemy factions as well in the game. So we got the freaks, we got the regulators, right? The next one is Mob Justice. Increase Red Hood's damage by 15% and critical damage by 5% when fighting the mob. So like I'm guessing Falcone's men, like people like that. Oh, I missed one. Oops. Combined fire. What was that? Let's go back. So combined fire. Red Hood and his allies inflict increased damage when focused on a single target. Only applies it to ranged attack combos and precision aim. So I think this comes in handy. You know, I think fighting bosses, mini bosses, big bosses, main bosses, and things like that. I think that's where this comes in handy, and I like it. I think that's, you know, real good team play. They're encouraging that. Then we got unrestricted fire, which is after using two-fisted reload. Red Hood can shoot unlimited rounds for a short period of time. Man, go to town. I like that. And then the last one is double vortex. After using two-fisted reload, Red Hood shoots double the number of rounds for a short period of time. I feel like the first one is better, where you get like the unlimited ammo after doing a two-fisted reload. I think that's better. I'm liking that much more.
And to deal more damage against certain types of enemies that he is truly angry inside about.
Now, you may have noticed that there's a fourth tree on that list, Knighthood. Perhaps the most interesting of all the ability options, Knighthood is available for every character and represents a moment of self-actualization where your hero has worked out how they can become their own Dark Knight, rather than just a new Batman. Knighthood will begin to unlock after a specific point in the story, but every character will have to complete a set of unique challenges to begin earning the abilities inside.
Unlocking the
That's pretty
Knighthood
cool.
tree gives you a couple of things. It unlocks the heroic traversal for that hero, so if you're Batgirl, suddenly you can glide. It unlocks your ultimate ability for Batgirl, that's the drone, and it unlocks the Knighthood ability tree, where you can start to add additional, very powerful mechanics to your hero that are otherwise not available to you until that point in the story.
Once you've unlocked knighthood for one character, you don't need to go and do the story beat again for the other heroes in order to gain access to that progression, but you'll need to go out and do the challenges for that hero that are associated with these additional abilities.
Knighthood is a truly interesting combination of narrative and mechanic, a way of using traditional RPG ideas to help tell the story of Gotham Knights' budding heroes.
So literally, there is a moment where it's possible for you to kind of have this epiphany with your character, right? It can be the moment that Robin suddenly, he's like staring at the Batman shrine in the Belfry, and he's like looking at the gauntlet, thinking about the technology and how Batman used it, because he's like the most recent member of that team, and Robin's thinking to himself, wait a minute, Batman wasn't just what was in the Batcave or just what he had on his person. It was also his relationship and his connection to the bigger universe of these superheroes, right? The Justice League satellite. So that's kind of the moment where he goes, wait, I can tap into that. I can absolutely tap into that. And if I use it this way, it's going to open up a set of abilities and some ways of fighting crime. And so that first moment is what opens up his heroic traversal. It's where he goes, I can do short-range teleportation. So, these are the kinds of sort of thematic links that we've tried to create with the Knighthood branch.
And
I like that. You know why I like that? Because, again, it's incorporating getting new skills and also still pushing the story forward, right? Which I think that's pretty smart because, sometimes people want to just get through the story, or they want to, you don't want to break that immersion, right, of playing the game and really getting lost in the world. And sometimes with games, what'll happen is when you get a new ability or you get like a new type of power or something like that, they require you to do something that kind of takes you off the main beaten path of the story, which that's not terrible. I don't think there's a problem with that. But I think with what the developers are trying to do here, I think they're really trying to keep you immersed in that story, keep you immersed in that world. And the fact that they've incorporated those knighthood abilities into the actual storytelling of the character, I think is pretty dope that they're doing that. Again, I can't wait to experience this stuff, man. I'm excited.
Alongside all of these skill trees is another menu of unlockables, momentum abilities. These amount to special attacks that can be assigned to specific button combos. Many of the momentum abilities tie into the skill trees, but they're earned differently.
In the case of the momentum abilities, you're getting those by engaging in challenges in the world. When you look at the momentum ability breakdown, in order to unlock that, I need to do the following 4 or 5 things.
That's pretty interesting. I want to go through these abilities again just to see what they are, right? So the first one is Barrage. Red Hood shoots multiple rounds straight ahead, hitting all enemies in his path. Ammunition is also reloaded, so that's a piercing. And then Mystical Punch. Red Hood charges his fist with elemental effect damage. Melee attacks do 50% more damage and 5 times more elemental buildup. The duration for that is 30 seconds, and it does also inflict guard break. So that's cool. So on top of your regular skills, you're also getting like power-up abilities and special moves and stuff like that that's unique to the character, that also inflict specific type of damage to, like, so if you use this, if you're fighting against, like we see in this, in a little clip right here, fighting against like a shielded enemy and stuff like that, using Mystical Punch will break their guard, which I think is awesome. That's pretty smart. And then we got Two-Fisted Reload. Red Hood performs a quick reload while hitting and shooting at an enemy. So I think this Two-Fisted Reload coincides with the two skills that we were looking at earlier, with the one that gives you like unlimited ammo and the other one gives you like oversized rounds where you do more damage and stuff like that. So this is how you can kind of mix and match certain abilities, but how certain abilities will complement each other. Again, I like that. I think it's cool. Then the next one is Harnessed Rage. When activated, Red Hood's next attack increases by a portion of damage he receives. Also heals Red Hood at 1% per second. Duration is 20 seconds. It induces fear in your enemies. Oh boy, oh boy. You know what this reminds me of? You know what this reminds me of, right? This reminds me of, so I don't know if you guys ever played a game called DC Universe Online. It's a game that came back in 2013, came out back in the PlayStation 3 generation. It was for PS3 and PC at the time. It might have been on Xbox as well, but it was on PlayStation, right? And it was an MMO. DC, it was a DC, DC style MMO. And it included all of the DC heroes and villains and different powers and abilities and things like that. And I remember one of the abilities that you could get, one of the powers you could use was Red Lantern. So you could become a Red Lantern. And we know Red Lanterns, their abilities come from anger. And so one of the powers that you could use with the Red Lantern, you could be a tank or a DPS. Obviously I was the tank. And with tanking with a Red Lantern, you would activate like this anger rush where like you could just take as much damage as you could, right? But then you had to obviously activate another move to kind of supplement that one and keep that damage from killing you like in a one-shot type of ordeal. But this Harness Rage reminds me of that. And I gotta be honest, man, more I see the Red Hood skills, the more I am sold. I'm scared. I'm scared, man. Right? And then the next ability is Spoil Sport Reload. Red Hood jumps backwards, releasing explosive magazines. Ammunition is also reloaded, and this is an AoE move. Okay. Right, and then let's skip ahead a little bit. And so the next one is a portable turret. Red Hood deploys a mini turret that shoots at enemies, dealing high damage. Duration is 6 seconds, and it does damage over time. And then the next one is Mega Tackle. So I think this is the green. Remember what we saw yesterday in the high level build where he was doing that green rush move? I think that's what this is. So Red Hood dashes forward, knocking down all enemies in his path. It inflicts guard break, piercing, partial AoE, and fear inducing. Man, that's got to be like a super move. Oh boy. And then this last one we see, it's called Mystical Rounds. Red Hood locks onto enemies and shoots a mystical round that will hit all targets, causing massive damage. So this was from what we saw yesterday as well. So remember at the beginning of the high level gameplay build that they were showing us, where we were showing the range build, this was the ability, the Mystic Rounds, this was the ability that the first Red Hood was using, where it chained all those enemies and shot that mystic shot, which I think is pretty cool.
mechanics.
The most amount of synergy between abilities in different trees actually happens between the momentum abilities tab and the rest of the trees. For example, Batgirl's Beatdown is a momentum ability, but can be powered up by other abilities in her tree that allow her to do it more effectively and with piercing damage, which the ability doesn't usually have at the start.
The developers' goals with all of these trees isn't just to tack on RPG mechanics to an action game, but to provide a legitimate sense that your heroes are growing, learning, and changing throughout the course of Gotham Knight's story. As a player, you're being asked to help create your own versions of those heroes, and the team doesn't want you to simply be able to fill out an entire skill tree on your first playthrough, encouraging you instead to pick and choose carefully.
If you're playing through Gotham Knights in a regular way, so I'm going after all of the main story arcs and I'm fighting the villain arcs, I will have unlocked most but not all of the skill tree. So your choices are always going to matter at least as far as what it takes for you to beat the story. I think players will and probably should mix and match to get the best out of the abilities in Gotham Knights. We know that players will choose ability clusters as we've arranged them in the trees because they are excited about an individual ability, but there is a lot of synergy between trees, and also you kind of have to experiment to find out what you really like. So I do expect that players will mix and match quite a lot.
If you want to know more about Gotham Knights, we have got tons for you in this month's IGN First.
That was good. That was good, man. So we learned a lot about the skill trees. Hearing about the skill trees and seeing that, we'll be able to mix and match, and they really are trying to promote, play however you want type of ordeal, which I think is pretty good. I'm excited, man. I think the skill trees are dope. I have to obviously get my hands on it. I want to see Nightwing's and Batgirl's skill trees, but from what I've seen with Red Hood and his skill tree and his momentum abilities, I think that stuff is pretty dope, right? I think that stuff is pretty cool. So it has me excited to play the game even more, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of sold me a little bit on Red Hood. So don't be surprised if I switch out Nightwing for Red Hood, because Batgirl is definitely the main. But Red Hood is definitely sounding very much up my alley in terms of like the very tankiness, the tanky build that you can kind of go with him, tanky DPS types of builds, which I do like, right? So I can't wait to mix and match with Batgirl, Nightwing, with the whole team, with the whole slew of teams, right? But listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. At the end of the day, I'm excited, man, and I'm sure a lot of you in the comments are excited as well. Let me know in the comments as well, like, who are you excited to play as, man? What type of abilities do you think you might see for, the character that you're most excited about? Also, let me know if you sold on Red Hood. Are you going to main Red Hood day one? Are you sold? Has the developer sold you on Red Hood? Right? But listen, guys, I appreciate you guys. Listen, if you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter at Persona Speaks. The link to that is in the description. Also, if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you enjoyed the comment, definitely subscribe, hit the like button, and things like that. As well as, if you want to support the channel even further, you could definitely become a member on the channel. It's not mandatory, but it's always appreciated. The link to that is in the description as well. Also, merch. I got my merch store. I got the Respect My Time tees. I got the Gamer Politician tees. I got the Optics Nation tees. And I got some new fall. I got the fall line that's going to be coming real soon as well. So keep a lookout for that. The merch store, the link to that is in the description as well, guys. Listen, everything is in the description. Make sure you check the description. Everything is there. Also, What's Up PlayStation Podcast this Saturday morning at 11 a.m. with myself and Jay Bari. Episode 95 is going to be really good. A lot of good gaming news this week that we're going to talk about, right? But listen, guys, I appreciate you. Please be safe. Have a great evening, and I'll see you guys next time. It's been your boy Persona, and I'm out. Peace.